Hi, hello there, beautiful humans. My name is Julia, and today I wanted to come on and create a video about the breath. You see, yesterday I went for a jog for the first time in what I would like to think is a very long time. And even though it was a beautiful day out, I was feeling so alive. Only had like a t-shirt on and my shorts, which any other time over the last few months that I've gone out, I've had this bulky winter jacket. Felt like just 1,000 pounds were weighing on me because I just had all this extra weight. And even though I knew I wanted to be jogging, I didn't really do that fully because it just felt too heavy. And I kept telling myself, okay, I'm going to wait until it's sunnier. I'm going to wait until I don't have to wear as many clothes. And so over the last few months, as I'm sure any of you may also have experienced, if you're not going to the gym, not really doing a lot of like heavy exercise, cardio, practicing deep breathing, either through meditation or breath work or what have you, it feels a little tricky to expand and to breathe deeply when we put ourselves in those situations after having not been in them for an amount of time. Or maybe you're a person who's never gone jogging or never really done cardio, and that's fine too, you know? It's still just that idea of the expansion, just noticing how difficult it can actually be to breathe sometimes. So when I was out on my jog yesterday, I was challenging myself. I just set the intention of, okay, I'm going to go for a 20-minute jog, and that's that. And I used to, probably at my peak, would jog for around 45 minutes, 4 times a week, maybe something like that. But it's been a number of years since that has been the case. And I initially had stopped because of injuries, just not really enjoying the sensation on my knees, like my hips and everything would just start throbbing. And so I told myself that maybe this isn't the best thing for my body. Maybe there's other ways that I could expand and exercise, and started going to the gym instead. But I love the feeling of jogging sometimes. I love that expansion that comes, just that, you know, when you're really challenging your cardio and it's hard to breathe and you just push through. And so this is what I was coming up against yesterday, because after about 5 minutes of getting into this jog, I started realizing like, holy crap, I haven't jogged in a really long time and it's hard to breathe right now. And so my thinking brain started to kick in and was like, you know what, Julia, you should just start walking, because this isn't really like, I don't think I like this sensation. And I had to keep reminding myself, like, okay, but I told myself I was going to do this for 20 minutes, so I would like to act in integrity and stick to that goal. So how can I just think of this sensation differently? How can I think of these thoughts differently? Like, what else can I think about in my brain so that I'm not focusing on, holy shit, this is uncomfortable. Like, holy shit, I can't breathe right now. And part of the reason that I had this thought in my head of how can I think about this differently reminded me of when I had first started jogging, which, for those of you who don't really know my story, started out because I was trying to expand my lung capacity because I had asthma. So it was when I was in junior high, so I don't know, over like 10, 15, I don't know how old I am. Anyway, not important. It was a long time ago, but I have this desire to just expand my health. Something just like clicked in my head, and I was like, you know what? I just was having some like eating issues, like eating disorder sort of behavior tapping in at that time. And whatever it was, something just told me I needed to get out of the house. I just needed to like go move my body, like do something else with this energy. Because if I stay at home, I'm just going to keep eating this junk food that is so readily available. So I started out just going for a walk, like around the block, and then started to push myself. Like the walk started to get boring. So I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll just like jog for this stretch of the way. And gradually just built that up by like jogging, walking, and then ended up doing it so that I was jogging the whole loop. And while that felt like an accomplishment for me, the way that I had slowly started to build that up, I just really appreciated how much I was actually pushing myself. And I recognized that the more I pushed myself, the better I would feel. And then it almost became this like, I mean, I want to say drug, but it's almost like that runner's high, you know? You just get in the zone. I started to recognize like how beautiful it felt to be breathing deeply. And I just had such an immense gratitude for this ability that my body had to breathe deeply, to cleanse itself, especially coming from these memories that I had when I was younger of having asthma attacks, feeling like there was just this program of I can't breathe, or if this situation comes up, then it's going to be difficult for me to breathe. If there's like asthma or smoke or dust or like cat dander or like pets or fur or whatever, then I won't be able to breathe as well. But the more I started to jog and the more I began to build this tool, the more I recognized that, okay, I actually do have control over my breath. But the interesting thing was that in building this practice, I also recognized how much my thoughts controlled my breath. Because when my thoughts started to get out of hand, then my breathing would start to become more shallow. I'd start to get a little panicked. And through that process, I trained myself to learn how to breathe through whatever it was I was thinking, just breathe through whatever I might be feeling, and just come back to the breath and just come back to breathing deeply. It's just a thought. It's just a sensation. Just come back to the breath. Breathe deeply. Just keep going. It's fine. Like, you can do this. You can get there. Just keep going. Just keep going. And yesterday, when I was in this process of going for this jog that felt rather uncomfortable, albeit it was also very like positive feeling as well, there was that voice that then started to kick in. And for anyone who works out vigorously on a regular or even irregular basis, you may know within yourself that there are these moments of like the panic, this is too hard, I don't want to do this anymore, just like where the thoughts become, we'll say, overwhelming. It's almost like when you first sit down on your meditation pillow after having not meditated for a very long time, the thoughts can be sometimes bombarding. But when we come back to the breath and we come back to the center, it starts to quiet. Things start to calm down and we find our groove, and then we're like, okay, I feel like I have a handle on this situation now. I can do this. And this is kind of what I was going through yesterday, just noticing when I was going uphill how I had to breathe into different parts of my lungs. So some of the energy was stagnating more at the top, and other times I found myself needing to breathe more deeply, like just visualizing the breath going to the very bottom. I'm doing things here, but you can't see it. Like going to the bottom, closer to my diaphragm, just breathing in as much as I can. And one of the practices that I learned, we'll say in Tantra, but it's just like a spiritual thing in general, but breathing through the front body and just really envisioning or imagining the breath going where you want it to in the body. So when I was noticing that I was only breathing in the top part of my lungs, I was like, okay, how can I challenge that? How can I push just a little bit further? And I will say that all of this focus on the breath was also my way of distracting myself from how much my muscles were hurting, like how much, like I was just like thinking and how much, like how challenging the experience actually was. It was just a process of, okay, what can I focus on? Like I need something else to focus on, because if I keep thinking about these thoughts that are in my head, then I'm going to give up, and I don't want to do that right now. So how can I think of this differently? And a book that I've been listening to by Gabby Bernstein, is that it? Gabrielle Bernstein? The Universe Has Your Back. She says in a certain part of the book, it's sort of like a prayer to God, but just asking like, okay, please help me see this situation differently. Please help me see this situation with love. And so when I was coming up with this challenge yesterday, coming up against this challenge, I had that voice, that mantra come into my head of like, okay, I can see this as a challenge. I can see this as difficult. I can hear and I recognize that I just want to give up, not do this anymore. But how can I see this differently? Is there anything else that I can focus on in this moment that will bring me to a different place, that will bring me to a higher level of consciousness, that will make me just take one more step, just go like one step further? And for me, the breath has always been my anchor. And it's interesting in my life when I look at my family, because there have been a lot of people in my family who have had issues with their lungs, whether it's like cancer or asthma or just different like diseases of the lungs. And from my own perspective, having, as I've said, grown up with asthma, and to this day, I don't consider myself to be an asthmatic. I consider myself to be a person who has not just learned to manage the symptoms, but to the point that they don't exist in my body. You know, I've changed my diet, I exercise, I have learned how to focus my breathing, manage my stress. So I don't consider myself to be a person with asthma anymore. But there are other people in my family and in my life who has developed certain conditions of the lungs. And either they may have been born with it also and haven't moved past that point, or it's something that they developed in their later life. So for me, it gets me thinking, because I look at the people around me and I'm like, okay, well, if I were to imagine a deeper message that the universe might be showing me in my life, it's that I'm not focusing enough on my own breath. I'm not honoring my own breath. I'm not paying as much attention in the way that I breathe. And as a society, I mean, anxiety, like stress, tension, these are all things that people sometimes experience as a byproduct of not breathing fully, not breathing properly. We know that as a society, we are not breathing at our full capacity. We don't breathe as deeply as we could. You know, we have these stressful jobs. We put ourselves in these like awkward situations, sitting in front of a computer all day, and we don't always think of, am I breathing fully? How can I expand my breath more? How can I fully live in my capacity of the breath? And you may be watching this and you may be thinking, so what? Who cares? We all know how important the breath is. We all take steps to breathe in the way that we could. I don't really have any negative symptoms from it. Like, why would I really care about this? And sorry, I'm feeling very fidgety. From my perspective, the breath is the most important thing. We wouldn't exist without it. They say in astrology that the chart that is created is sort of like a map or an image of what was in the sky at the time that you took your first breath. We can use our breath to remain calm. We can use our breath to expel different diseases, different viruses that are in our bodies. We can use our breath as a way of visualizing health for ourselves. I mean, I've experienced this in my own life. If I have tension in like a certain area of my body, I will just envision breathing into that area, maybe sitting in silence and just really digging deeply. And quieting my mind and focusing and visualizing that area expanding with the breath. And just noticing how much calmer, how much more at peace I feel as a result of just breathing. Sometimes it's because I visualize, sometimes it's just because it brings me back to the awareness of I'm okay. There's nothing happening right now. It's just thoughts, it's just sensations. And when I really check in with what is true, I'm okay. This fear, this story that I tell myself is nothing more than a story. And I can perceive it differently. I can look at it differently. But I can't do that if I'm not fully breathing. Only once I allow myself the opportunity, give myself the permission to breathe fully and deeply. Only then can I send the signals to my brain that I'm okay. Everything is okay in this moment. And then we start to relax. Then we start to move out of those beta brain waves and find more peace, more flow, more center. This is where we find our truth. Because as long as we're thinking, we're not fully connecting with our own truth. It can be very challenging during these times not to get swept up in all of the stories, all of the facts or fiction or information that is being shown to us. But I always say that the only truth we really need to tap into is the one within our soul, the one in our hearts, the one inside of us, because that is the only true compass that will allow us to discern what is true for us, what is the best for us, what is right for us. Because if we're reading something, if we're watching something, and we're feeling that stress, that tension in our body, then we're not fully aligning. We're not fully aligning with what is true for me. We're not fully aligning with our own breath. This is where truth is found. This is where wisdom is found. This is where power is found. Any martial artist will tell you that you lose your power when you lose your breath. I don't actually know this from experience because I'm not a martial artist, but it's what I've been told. And if you want to come back to peace, just remember to breathe deeply. So I will invite you in this moment to spend some time becoming acquainted with your breath. Maybe you close your eyes. Maybe you find some stillness sitting up tall. And just take a moment to become aware of how you are breathing without judging the way that you are breathing. Maybe you notice the sensations on your nose or mouth as the air flows in and out. Maybe you feel your lungs as they start to expand. And just being in this space of acceptance. And setting the intention to just love what is. And with your next inhale, I invite you to take a slow and deep breath in, filling your belly and filling your chest. And give a big sigh as you exhale, allowing your body to become more relaxed. And taking another slow and deep inhale, filling your belly, filling your chest, and then hold for a second at the top. Before giving a big sigh as loud as you feel comfortable. Allowing the breath to come back to a natural rhythm. And whenever you feel ready, you can open your eyes. And once again, just notice. Notice how you feel. Notice how you're breathing. Maybe you feel more awake, more alive, more relaxed. Maybe you feel more stressed. That's okay too. But just know that this tool of finding your center, finding your truth, finding your breath is always available to you. This has always been the tool that I use in meditation when I find myself in those moments of like, holy crap, I don't know what is going on. I feel like afraid, I feel confused, I feel like I just need some peace. Find some stillness. Find some quiet. And just focus inward on what is. Everything that you seek is already within you. And all of the answers that you're looking for, you already have. It's just a matter of giving yourself the space to allow that to unfold. I've been finding it very helpful these days to just come back to a prayer of gratitude, giving thanks for what I do have before I sit in my meditation, or even giving thanks for the things that I want to acquire in my life, but from the place that I already have them. So thank you, God, for this beautiful singing voice that I have. Thank you for the opportunity to have deep, profound, connected friendships. Thank you for my loving friends and family and all of the beautiful clients and conversations and inspiration that comes into my life. Thank you, God, for this breath that I have been blessed with. And thank you for the opportunity to share this gift, this knowledge, this experience with other people. I would love to hear one message, one insight that your breath has provided you with. Maybe just from watching this video, maybe it's a lesson that you've learned over your lifetime. Please leave me a comment down below. Let me know how you have been impacted by your breath, what lessons you have learned from your breath, and what action you have now or are about to take as a result of this. Even myself now, I'm recognizing in making this video that the way I'm talking is a lot calmer, a lot more grounded, a lot more focused. I'm not saying and like nearly as much at the end of this video compared to the high energy vibe that I had at the beginning. And that is always available to you as well. So please share this video if you are ready to breathe deeply, ready to build a more loving connection, more present connection with your own breath. Much love to you all, beautiful people. And I thank you for being a part of this journey, for being present, for being at peace, and for just experiencing the gratitude and the love that is available to you every day. Take care. Namaste.